Do you make a conscious effort to take care of your mental health? Does hearing the words mental health scare you, or is it something you avoid talking about? Have there been days you feel like you are on top of the world and others you feel extremely low? Have you noticed that certain activities or hobbies help keep a clear mind? Have you ever separated yourself from your emotions and considered why you may think or feel a certain way? With May being Mental Health Awareness Month, I wanted to dive into the daily steps that I take to help care for my mental health. By the end of this episode, I hope that I can bring some value around this topic, as I truthfully believe mental health should always be our number one priority. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to It's the Bearded Man podcast with your favorite, the world's favorite bearded man, Bob Bay. Each week on these solo podcasts, I try to share some insights on topics that help you become a better version of yourself. Do I have all the answers? Absolutely not. This is just my bearded wisdom that I hope brings value to you. My mental health. We've all heard about mental health, but what exactly does it mean? How does one describe it? Well, according to mentalhealth.gov, that's right, your boy did some research. It includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Mental health is important in every stage of life, from childhood and adolescence through adulthood. For me, I need to be constantly assessing my mental health on a daily basis. Matter of fact, on an hourly, maybe even minute basis, because it's the foundation of everything else that I do. The way I think, the way I feel when I wake up every morning. It needs to be rock solid, bulletproof, stormproof, and ready for anything that might come its way. Otherwise, I can't make progress in other areas of my life, right? I can't create podcasts. I can't be social. I can't be a good son, brother, friend, teammate, etc. I can't find the strength to get off my ass to get that workout in daily if my mental health isn't in check. It is truly the center and core of the bearded man, and I think it is for every human on this earth. So how do I assess it? How do I know when things are going smoothly and when shit hits the fan? I pay attention to my thoughts and emotions throughout the day, each and every day, and I respond to it accordingly. Notice how I say respond and not react, because there is a difference. Respond is assessing the situation and then making a strategic decision on how to move forward. You're pulling yourself out of the situation and you're making a call. When reacting, it's letting our emotions get the best of us and making a choice without considering our options. So here are some examples of me responding to my emotions. If I'm feeling anxious, I stop what I'm doing and I take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. If I'm feeling inspired, I lean into it and I try to create something out of it. If I'm feeling sad, I journal about it. And I try to take a moment to create a gratitude list to remind myself of all the good things that are going on in my life. Whatever the emotion is, I respond to it accordingly based on what I have found to be the bearded man cure. Do I think it'll be the solution to every person on this earth? Probably not. Do I think there is a solution to every person's emotions? You better believe it. I think we all need to test and try things to see what works for us. I'm nowhere near a mental health expert, and it is for sure always a work in progress in my life, but I think I've made some positive steps forward within my own life over the last couple of years. A lot of this progress comes from me intentionally going down this path of self-discovery and trying to understand the direction of where I'm going and who I want to be with this life. And a lot of it's taken deep work, alone time, books, podcasts, meditation, etc. But I have seen the results, and I am so much more aware of my emotions than I ever was, even just when I was 22. So 4 steps that I take to keeping a clear mind. Number 1, daily gratitude journal. Since October of 2020, I have made a conscious effort to spend 5 to 10 minutes every morning writing in a gratitude journal. I've talked about this on many podcasts in the past, and I know you guys and gals are probably sick of me talking about it, but guess what? It works. If it didn't, I wouldn't talk about it, and I would have stopped doing this daily journal months ago. There is no right way to do a gratitude journal. I just happen to follow this template that I'll break down, which really breaks it down into 5 simple and easy sections. Section number 1, 3 things I'm grateful for. This regrounds me in the present moment. So for example, recently in my journal, I wrote, 1, grateful for my parents and for all the love and support they've given me since I was born. Number 2, that I have the confidence in myself to shoot my shot and continue moving forward regardless of how it lands. Whether it's reaching out to a podcaster, whether it's a woman I'm attracted to, I shoot that shot. And if I don't go in, I keep it moving. That takes some confidence, and it hasn't always been in me. It's definitely been something I've had to learn and grow with. And thirdly, I'm grateful to have financial stability from a job where I'm surrounded by great people with a great product. So that's section number 1. That regrounds me in the present moment. Section number 2, positive experience from the past 24 hours. This is 3 to 5 sentences, and this is me acknowledging something good that happened yesterday. It's so easy for us to keep moving forward, but this allows me to take one moment of today to look back on yesterday and think about what was something good that came of it. So for example, having a really good 1-hour coffee conversation with a new team member of Liquid IV. This person recently joined the team in the past few months, and since starting, we've only had a chance to just talk about business. And this convo was mostly about us, goals for our life, the LA dating scene, and so much more. This is just giving me that one moment to think back on what happened yesterday and how it was good. And it keeps me moving forward. Section number 3, 3 things that I'm excited for. So this is acknowledging events that are coming today or this week that bring a smile to my face. It gets me excited for what I have coming up. So for example, I wrote prepping this mental health podcast. I was very excited to get this prepped out and ready to record for today. Number 2, a full day of learning and growing ahead of me. Just having that optimistic look on the day ahead. I'm excited that I don't know where this next 24 hours is going to take me, but I'm excited that I get to learn and grow. And I think it's always a building process. And then number 3, at the time of when I was writing this journal, I got to FaceTime with my parents, which was their anniversary. So shout out to mom and dad, 32 years. Bless my mother's soul for dealing with my father for that many years. But just doing this, it allows me to get excited, even in those small little daily things that we so easily take for granted. This is just making me more aware of like, wow, you have some great things to be excited about. Section number 4, 3 priorities of mine. This is regrounding myself in my values. So for example, priority number 1, self-love and investing in myself. I know that is always going to be the top priority. I need to take care of myself. I need to literally love myself, and I need to continue to invest in myself because that is something that I definitely can control. Number 2, something that I'm focused on right now is shooting that shot with women. Definitely ramping up the dating scene in LA for the kid, and we're just going to keep shooting our shot and see where that takes us. So that's just another reminder to myself. And then number 3 is focus on the 24 hours ahead of you and be present. That's another priority of mine. Just getting super focused on what I have in front of me today. That's all I need to worry about right now in this moment is just recording this podcast. And the last section, section 5, is impact. That's 3 to 5 sentences. This is the big picture. What am I really trying to do? What is my true north? So for example, there's 2 things that continually come up, and it's me wanting to help people become the best versions of themselves. And number 2, it's wanting to inspire others to live their most authentic lives. That's the impact that I want to have through this podcast, through my life, through any content that I make moving forward. Those are 2 of the biggest kind of reasons I do what I do. And by taking time every morning to write this out, it immediately regrounds me and sets good intention for the day ahead. Now, of course, there are days when maybe my emotions aren't that hot, but this helps me put those emotions back on track and heading in the right direction. Now that I've reset my mindset by doing this journal, I'm ready to tackle the day ahead of me. I've reminded myself of all the good in my life. I take a moment to think back on the day before and how something special might have happened. I'm refocused on what is in front of me today, and I'm also reminding myself of what is the bigger picture. So step 1 for me is to keeping a clear mind daily is taking that time to write in a gratitude journal. Number 2, crank up them endorphins. All right. I am far from an Olympic athlete. And yes, you better believe these abs are still hibernating and they have been since birth. But the good news is that is not why I'm a fitness junkie. I love cranking up endorphins daily and sometimes twice a day when possible because I have seen the value it's brought to my life, right? Daily sweat clears my mind because it allows me to step away from work and whatever else is on my mind and allows me to just focus on working out and getting the blood flowing. It also allows me to push my body physically for good health so that I can run around this world for a very, very long time. And also, it gives me more clarity on different things I'm working on within my life so that when I come back to it and I've had that workout, I come back with a clear perspective and a clear mind, and ultimately just helps me hugely. So for me, the best way to get endorphins is running and lifting weights. But for you, it could be something else, and that's okay. Without that morning sweat, though, to jumpstart my day, I feel lost and I do not feel as motivated. Because I do it first thing in the morning, by the time that I sit down to do work or stand up to do this podcast, I'm like going at 1,000,000 miles an hour because I've already been up for a few hours and I'm ready to go. So for me, step 2 to keeping a clear mind daily is making sure that I crank up them endorphins, baby. Can't stop, won't stop. You feel me? So that's step number 2, crank up them endorphins. Step number 3, stillness is crucial. Anytime I feel anxious or overwhelmed, I go, bearded man, it's time to pump the brakes, kid. It means my mind is running at 1,000,000 miles an hour, which I know is not sustainable. This is where meditation has stepped into my life and really showed me the value of how stillness can benefit my mental health. Now, this might sound a little cray-cray, but stick with me for a sec. I want you to imagine a miniature version of yourself. You're sitting in your mind on a really comfy couch in the middle of an empty room. Stick with me. The only thing that surrounds you in this room is your thoughts, which are traveling really, really fast. It's constant thoughts just all over the place. The best way for us to slow these thoughts down is to not attach ourselves to them, but to instead sit on that comfy couch and watch them come and go. Acknowledge them for what they are and let them continue to pass you. I may think to myself, I don't like the way my body's looking. I go, no problem. We'll keep working on it. Damn, that girl ghosted my ass. I go, no problem. There's plenty of fish in the sea. Another thing that might pop in my mind, I did not expect to get hit with that car maintenance bill this week. No problem. You can't control it anyways. Ultimately, I've learned to be an observer of my thoughts that is strictly coming from one thing. I've learned this only from one thing, and that's stillness. Take a deep breath in, and now a deep breath out. I do this multiple times and watch how you start to slow down your mind and all those thoughts start to slow down. Anytime you are feeling any type of unwanted emotion running through you, stop whatever you're doing and acknowledge the thought, right? It may be hard to do, and it for sure takes reps, but I think we all have the ability within us to become better observers of our own thoughts. And how do we do that? By adding more stillness to our life, by slowing down from time to time and resetting ourselves. Our mind needs the break just as much as our body needs the rest after pushing it all day long. The reset can be meditation, or that can be just chilling on that comfy ass couch. Step 3 is to keeping a clear mind daily for myself is making sure to add stillness by meditating daily, but also adding stillness in when needed throughout the day. When those emotions start to peak, I go, slow down, bearded man. Let's take a step back. Let's regain ourselves and let's get back to it. Number 4, always think optimistically. Outside looking in, you may listen to these podcasts or watch me on social media and think, how is this man so positive? Maybe you think that, or maybe you don't. It's beside the point. I've trained myself to think one and only way, optimistically. You know why? Because thinking from a pessimistic standpoint does me no good, and it stops me from making moves forward. When we think optimistically, we see the world from a completely different lens. So similar to what I was discussing before, we respond to situations instead of reacting. We see every moment for good and not for the bad. Regardless of how a situation plays out, we think to ourselves, how is this helping me, right? That person I was supposed to do a podcast with tonight bails. I respond, perfect. I'll spend time preparing for the other one that I have later this week. Plans for this weekend get canceled. I respond, no worries. I'll spend that extra time reaching out to someone I haven't seen in a minute. We get put into lockdown for 12 plus months because a pandemic hits us and we didn't expect it to come. I respond, all good. Time to double down on my podcast career again now that I have the extra time. The easy route is to complain about the situation in which we know 110% changes nothing. And living life like that is no bueno. The fact of the matter is, there's a lot of shit that's going to happen in our life that we have 0% control of. What we 100% do control is how we respond to situations, and that's ultimately going to define where we end up in this world and who we're going to become. Not only is it beneficial for us to think more optimistically, but it also benefits the people we're around. Think about that one person that you know that has nothing good to say and just wants to complain all damn day about life and everything else that's happening to them, right? Of course, I wish nothing bad upon people. Of course, we're going to have our moments as well. But to be honest, I don't have the headspace capacity to be around people that want to be pessimistic all damn day, 24/7, 365. Now, like I said, of course, there are going to be days where we slip, and sometimes life is going to hit us straight in the damn face. I get it. It happens, and don't be so critical of yourself when it does. Lean into it. Ride with it. For the most part, though, we need to try our best to see the world from an optimistic lens, even when shit isn't going our way. Not only does it impact how we feel in this very moment, but it's going to impact the people that we are surrounded by and the energy that we give off. So step number 4 to keeping a clear mind daily is doing my absolute best to think from an optimistic mindset. To recap, in my belief, our mental health is our foundation. If it's not firm and strong, it is going to be nearly impossible for us to get anything done because our mind is going to be unstable. Do I think it is a one-size-fits-all type of conversation? Absolutely not. I think it's a journey of us figuring out what works best for us. Needless to say, I think we can all find ways to strengthen our mental health daily. 4 ways that I prioritize my mental health daily. Number 1, daily gratitude journal. By taking 5 to 10 minutes every morning to acknowledge all the good in my life, it sets great intention for the day ahead of me. Number 2, crank up them endorphins. Adding daily sweat to my life gets the blood flowing for the day ahead, and it allows me to step away from all the madness in the world so that I can have some me time. It also gives me clarity on where I'm headed. Number 3, stillness is crucial. In order to keep my mind from running a million miles an hour, I need to take time every day to slow down and reground myself in the present moment. If I don't, I might let my emotions get the best of me. And number 4, always think optimistically. No matter how the hand of cards are dealt, I force myself to think about how a situation is benefiting me. By doing so, it changes the perspective and it allows me to see the world from a more optimistic lens. So my challenge for you beautiful guys and gals, spend 10 minutes today and jot down some daily habits or routines that you think benefit your mental health. Whatever that might be, I encourage you all to find ways to make these daily rituals. If you know they benefit you, why would you not do them, right? Questions from the BMC, that is the Bearded Man community. If this is your first time listening, welcome to the community. You're now enrolled. It costs $0. So here you go. Welcome. This question is coming from Chris. He said, the importance of sleep. That's a good question, Chris. I am somebody that neglected sleep for a long time when I was kind of building my creative career, when I was driving Uber. And so now looking back on it, I would never allow myself to do that the way I did before, but I know I have that in me if needed to crank up the speed from time to time. But I think sleep is so crucial. It allows us to get that reset. Like I said before, it allows our body to not only recover, but it allows our mind to slow down from all the millions of thoughts that we have within a given day. So I personally believe every person needs to figure out how much sleep per night does that mean to you. For me, on average, at least 5 days of the week, I try to get 8 hours of sleep. Once the weekend come, my life kind of goes all over the place and I'm usually like operating on 4 to 5. But that's my own bad decision making. But ultimately, I really do believe sleep is extremely crucial for our mental health. If we don't give our mind the time to slow down from while we sleep, I think it's ultimately just going to eventually run out of gas, and it's going to allow us to make bad decisions or just not have a lot of clarity or have a lot of brain fog. So, Chris, that's a great question. I think everybody needs to figure out how much sleep does that mean for them and to double down on it. Like I said, it's been extremely beneficial for me, and it's definitely something that I continue to add into my routines, is just making sure I get enough sleep. We actually don't have any pod reviews of the week, which is okay. Still about 40 short from hitting our goal of 100 by episode 100. So if you want to leave a review and be one of those amazing people that helps us get there, head over to the iTunes podcast app and jot down a 1-sentence review of what you're thinking of the podcast. Make sure you guys and gals too are subscribed and following on Spotify or iTunes and whatnot. All that analytics on the back end is very much appreciated. Once again, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. I have definitely had my fair share of highs and lows in my life. I've tried my best to be as vocal as possible, especially within podcasts or social media. And I ultimately just want people to understand that I'm a human being just as much as you. What you see on the internet sometimes is a lot of high energy and me being very optimistic. And that's because, similar to what I was talking about before, I choose to give off good energy because I hope that's the energy that I receive. But no, I am human like all of you. I just try my best to choose the optimistic lens more than the pessimistic lens, and I always try to give that energy back to the world. I hope this podcast was valuable to any of you out there. Please shoot me a DM if you have any comments about this question, or if you have any questions about this podcast topic, or if you have a topic you'd like me to cover next, shoot me a DM and let me know. If you enjoyed this podcast at all that I ask, please screenshot this episode, post it to your IG story, tag me at Bobe, that's B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's, and Y. Share out the podcast on your IG story. It's the best way for us to organically, naturally grow this podcast. And let me know what you thought of the podcast. Let the world know what you enjoyed of this episode. Did I make you laugh? Did you smile? Did you learn something? I'm super curious to kind of see how this podcast episode was beneficial to you. So please share it out and let me know. Plenty more content on the way. Put on that seatbelt, ladies and gentlemen. We're just getting started. It's the Bearded Man Podcast. See ya.